Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on August 13th, 2023 at approximately 4:33 p.m. PST. Now, I've returned to this world for one primary purpose, and that is to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. I build myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally use in my day-to-day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the precise philosophies I personally guide my life by. Now, with this in mind, we are not talking about tools that may work. We're talking about tools that have worked for literally thousands of people, over the last several decades. Now, before I get, I should have brought that up, but did not, so let's pray. Let's go here. We're going to hope that this works. And what do we got here? Here we are. Now, right off the bat, we have Philip in here with the gold. And Emmy, you have come in with silver. Nathan, welcome to the show. In with the bronze today. And Black Dragon, way to go. You are in with the honorable mention. Now, this, as you well know, is an open topic, or at least you should by this point. Hopefully I remember to bring the one thing in. I did. Look at that. Or at least one that'll work. Nice little container. I need the container, not what's in. So I'm just over here getting what I can. I'll worry about that after. Now, figure I might just as well get things organized here. Today has been a little scrambled, but at the same time, we are actually making headway. Now, get the stuff out of the way that I don't require, and that's not drinkable. This one over here. Okay, got a few things organized and what's going on there. Okay, now, again, guys, if you're just joining us, whatever you do, if you have a question, doesn't matter what the topic we're on at the moment. When you've got a question that comes up, put it in the chat room in all caps, in partial caps, even just give it that wavy hand so I know you're looking for that you've got a question. Okay, now I do try and keep an eye on what's going on in the chat room. And where did I put it? Yeah, as you can see, what ends up happening is stuff gets moved back where it needs to. This one. Like I said, I've started putting things together to start to get Christmas sorted out. Now, I figure this year is going to be a little different for me. Okay. And again, we might just as well start this off on the right boat here. If you like the stream, do give us a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel and then share the daylights out of it. That would be really appreciated. And Nathan, before you disappear too far, let us see. Right there. We take that, move it out of the way. We scroll down here to Nathan. Here we are. And this is the link to Nathan's Quantum Show. So we have here, paste that. Drop in to have a listen. If you like what he has to say, do subscribe, do give him a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and share the daylights out of it. Philip, it's there's a little bit of a complication there. We have to presume if they're saying their head fell off, clearly they've got to be using it in a sarcastic, metaphorical standpoint. The best thing you can tell somebody when they make a comment like that is tell them to take a moment and take a breath. Because what they're referring to is they become overwhelmed by whatever they're going through. Okay. That's the biggest thing you can do, and that applies to pretty much anybody you run into. A lot of people have all kinds of complications where it comes to coping with stress, and there's a lot of different ways of working with it. Now, let us move this out of the way. I'm doing this so I can actually see what color I'm working with. Well, that was brilliant. By the way, if you're turning on a light, do not make the mistake of looking at the light bulb. This is usually a bad idea. Now I have black here, and I think what we're going to do is, hopefully I've got the right color. But no, that is your best way to handle that right off the bat. Okay. Is to turn around and go, okay, clearly the person is overwhelmed. So you just talk to them for a moment, just get them to slow down and think things through. Now, remember that trick I showed you with the list. This is another thing that works like a charm. Now we have Raven. Welcome aboard. Glad you could join us. And I saw somebody else come in here, or more to the point, missing them come in. Joe, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Most people have something that will get them really badly overwhelmed in a hurry. Okay. In my case, society and life quite often does it. So you just have to really help them focus on what actually makes a whole lot of, what they can actually do something with. That's where we run into the biggest problem. Now, I know you remember these guys because, well, the other ones already, I still haven't gotten down to Michael's to get the, whatchamacallit. I haven't gotten down to Michael's to get the sealant that was suggested. But we're not at Christmas yet. So that's not entirely a bad thing. At this point, what I'm doing is very simple. I'm just making absolutely certain I get things done that I desire. But again, it boils down to one real simple issue. Pick something that you're not content with and start to change it. Okay, this is the key to success. This is the way to get your life running in the right direction. Of course, those glasses, I'm going to have to keep bouncing back and forth, apparently. Because one thing you got to remember where it comes to the whole idea of mental acuity, it takes work, it takes effort. And not everybody is going to run with the same amount by any functional stretch. Okay, what I'm looking at here is literally a case of making certain that we can actually get things accomplished. Now, this is just another one of those little projects that I've got on the go. I started clearing off the shelves yesterday. Actually, I think it was on stream when I did that. But let me ask you this. Okay, where are we here? Hey, Chad, how you doing? Glad you could join us. And give me 5 seconds here, and we will deal with the other side of this. I look at this going this way. Now, where are we? And we go back up here, and we take a look at Chad's stream. We bring that down here. Chad, I'm really glad you could join us. People, this is the link to Chad's stream. So absolutely, drop in, give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, do give him a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of it. Now, this little item when I get it done, and I haven't figured out what I'm going to do with to offset it a little. What I do know is that this is just one of those neat little things from my end of striving to make this world just a little bit more memorable for people in a positive fashion. The fact of the matter is, there's a lot that has to be done. And I mean, we can keep listening to people tell us the world's going to end. And it will. It absolutely will. Problem that we run into, it is, Philip. There's a young lass I know that really likes her plants. So instead of buying something, what I did, somebody was actually getting rid of this particular pot, and another one. They were just going to throw them out. Reality of it is they still have a lot of life left in them. For me, they're useless. Okay, I can kill an air plant in 3 days. So plants for pots do not add up to a lot of use. But for those of you that do, I'm taking just a standard pot, just run of the mill. I could have left it that way and gone, here you go. But this means I get the opportunity to put a little effort into it. Okay, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. You guys get to figure that out. I'm actually not going to plant anything in it. Okay, and knowing the person I do that's getting it, it may be flowers. It may be a question of she just turns around and plants a few onions in it. See, I ran into a problem. I don't have any luck growing plants. I've tried it for years and it just doesn't work well. So now what I'm doing is I'm going, okay, what can I do? Because, do not get me wrong. People should give to each other every year, all throughout the year. But since we have this one time a year that does have a direct impact on people, also known as Christmas, why not put it to use to just put that little extra effort in? Okay, it literally boils down to something that simple. Now, by the time I get finished this, I haven't figured out what to do on this end of it yet. But I do know that what I'm looking at is a change in the whole way the world is working. We always look at it going, what can I get out of it? Where's the immediate gratification? And this is where a lot of the world has gone sideways. Okay. A lot of the world is no longer looking at the communication lines and the improvement. Oh, I do one better than that. I have full conversations with them there, Philip. Unfortunately, there's 2 complications with it. Okay. Now, the reality is I actually talk to the plants themselves, but the lighting in this house, because of the way it's set up, doesn't work well. Okay, and it just seems to be a question of complications, and I don't really understand the ramifications of it. But like I said, these particular pots are going elsewhere. Now, Joe, I noticed you asked a question there about what is the Lion's Gate portal. And I'm going to have to do something that I don't usually do, but I have come to the conclusion, kind of necessary with a lot of the questions that come up. So let us see what happens here. What I'm doing is just getting a baseline on it, on what the Lion's Gate portal is. Interesting. Okay, when I type it into the internet, this looks like another group that has started up. I haven't even looked into it. So I'm not entirely certain just exactly how well their head is set on straight, in my opinion. But it does look like it's another one of these groups that are planning on giving you spiritual guidance. The one thing I don't know, and I certainly can't speak to just yet, is whether or not they've got their own head on straight. Because unfortunately, what I find a lot of the time is the information they give at best is a little skewed. You know, probably not the best answer, but I appreciate that there, Black Dragon. You know, I do know there's a number of portals around this world that are, some of them lead to very intriguing places. Okay. From what I've come to understand, none of them lead to inner Earth. You know, they all seem to have very definitive points. But let's see what they say is the dragon. You know, the reality of it is, this is probably more research I've done. What do we got? One is there's the other one. Intriguing. Well, that's an interesting setup. You know, I'm looking at these two portals, and there is something that sits a little funny. Where are we here? Appreciate that, Raven. See, this is why I tell people I am not one that you talk to about research. Because of the fact I frankly don't do it. But there are enough people in here that fortunately go through, as a matter of fact, come to think of it, fortunately go through the research process and thereby do a wonderful job on that end. Now, where are we here? There we are. And this is the link to Raven's live stream. So we pop this in here. And again, drop in, give her a listen. Let her, if you like what she has to say, do give her a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And then share the daylights out of it. This is just one way that we can help each other. And for those of you that are watching this side of it, yes, I know I've got to get some sealant and what have you. But for the moment, this is just getting the baseline off the edge. See, I get a kick out of that, Raven, because this kind of a archway would seem to be an annual thing. Well, the problem is it's an ongoing thing. Okay, it becomes annual because the people on this world have said it's only once a year. But you got to remember, it doesn't work. It doesn't govern itself by local space. That's the biggest thing that you really have to look at. And there we go. We're about a third of the way around. Where we go? Uh-oh. I'm not quite certain what you put there and what you're indicating here. Raven, you've got thank you that you didn't post. What I'm not entirely certain of is what we didn't post. Oh, no, that's right. 1 FAF. Oh, I see. You didn't pick the whole thing up by the look of it. Henry, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Try that again. What are we here? Oh. Ultimately, Henry, in all fairness, that's not a bad assessment. The thing is, because humans operate on such a lower level than what the off-worlders do, they are somewhat unpredictable, except for the fact that you can bet they're going to be unpredictable. See, like I've mentioned a long time ago, one of the things that humans have an incredible capacity for is taking a look at all the functional facts and then going in a completely bizarre path, in a completely bizarre direction that makes no logical sense, and then turn around and still come out on top. Now, for races that have figured out how to be a little bit more logical in their orientation, this can be extremely disconcerting. But we have to remember that the whole reason the off-worlders are here primarily is because of the xeno-socioeconomic evolution of the society. Because, see, mankind is in a very simple fashion. Okay, you're on the verge of either awakening and finding true universal peace, or blowing yourselves all the way back to the Stone Age. Now, what you desire to do with that, I don't know. Okay, that's just the reality of it. Saw something come in there. Oh, absolutely. Henry's going, not to mention prone to selfishness and greed, at least for the most part. There we go. Now we get a little bit of airflow. But no, and the reason we are in curiosity, do you guys have any idea at all? Well, that was working. Any idea at all why there is so much greed propagated throughout the world? Why so many people focus on it? Because once we start identifying that, it's a little easier to counteract it. Now, the answer to the other side of that answer is I already know what's causing the majority of it. But it is something that as a unit we can actually correct. Yeah, it was sort of a necessity there, Chad. But I'll tell you, for such a small fan, it does an incredible job. One of the things we have to remember is that the whole evolution of this planet is going to be done. And by the way, I said evolution. I did not say ascendance, because this planet is staying in the third dimension. It's not going to the fifth one. And by the way, neither is the human race. We're looking at a world that is in trouble, but I am absolutely convinced that we can get it back on track. The question is, do people desire it to get back on track? That's where the real catch comes in. But the reason I call this open is because I have no idea where the topic is going to go. I do know that one of the things I'm looking at is the number of little projects that I've had on the go that I'm slowly getting sorted around. Okay. Now, I've mentioned this to you guys before. As in, what change would you like to see in your life that isn't fully accommodated yet? Okay. In my case, it's simple. I'm building an empire. Okay. On top of that, I've got all these little gifts I'm putting together, and they're just going to be sent where they need to be. Where they can be appreciated, where they can be used. But I just came to the conclusion I wasn't interested in doing the traditional, well, what would you like? To me, this is counterproductive in a lot of ways. Well, that was a really bizarre thought. Something just dawned on me. I'm sitting here and I made that comment. It's like, do you guys remember the old game? They actually had it banned. But there was a game we used to play when I was a kid called Clackers. Basically, it boiled down to a two-ball bola. Okay. And, you would use them. They'd be noisier than heck. And boy, could you ever hurt your hand if you didn't actually watch what you were doing. But what I'm looking at right now is how do I encourage people to start looking at the creative side of the world and start actually doing something with it. There are way too many people. There are way too many people that I find are focusing on how bad the world is and how much trouble we're in. Now, there is no question we are in trouble. But here's the thing. While I'm talking to you, I'm taking this pot that I found. Okay. Dressing it up a little. And then I will turn around and package it up and it'll go where it needs to. It'll go where it's best suited. Fortunately, the person I know I'm sending it to, I already know that they'll put it to very good use. Question is, when you're looking at changing your life, that actually makes sense there, Henry. The problem here is this. Mankind, right from the get-go, has been taught, and we can take this all the way back to the religious folk. Okay, I don't mean one denomination. I mean pretty much every one of them. We are taught that we deserve to have everything. And as time went on, the church made a bunch of claims of what they were going to do to help people, demanding money from them, demanding a tithe, which, by the way, I do actually agree with the tithe. But what's happened is society has taken its whole outlook on life, and instead of looking at it and going, what can I do to help the community I'm in? How can I make this world a better place for when I'm gone than when I got here? Okay, and if you look at the way people are treated, the ones with a lot of money seem to definitively look down on others. Now, this does not apply to everybody, but when everything is measured in let's go into debt and immediate gratification, it leads to a problem. Okay, and this is where we're running into the biggest challenge. Because people are aiming. You are absolutely right there, Raven. That's the thing. We have been re-educated, so we do not think about how to enjoy. I've seen a lot of relationships. One in particular comes to mind. They were hitting it off beautifully. Okay, the couple was hitting off really beautifully, and then they got to meet because it had been a long distance relationship. And when they met, they found they couldn't carry on a conversation without a phone in their hand. Net result, their entire relationship collapsed. Now, let me ask you guys, given a choice between a powder that is factory made and is all this color, okay, and one that is still factory made but has had a little bit of effort put into it, into the completion of it, which one do you feel is best? Which would make you feel better? Receiving, I'm referring to. Because I have come to understand that people are inherently, they have grown now where kids are coming literally out of school. And I don't mean out of high school. I mean out of junior high or out of middle school, depending on what you call it where you are. Okay. I'm talking your 13, 14-year-olds are already on the standpoint of I deserve more. Now, when you've taken the education out of the equation, and all you have to do to get proper recognition is a bare minimum where it comes to sport days. Okay, nowadays, if you show up, which is about as bare minimum as you can get, and that's even if you show up without any sort of effort, without your proper attire. As long as you show up, you get a pat on the back. Okay? And no, my family is not immune to this. The sad reality of it is, in spite of the fact that I will take a look at something and go, I've got to get this done. And as you can see, I will push limits pretty quick to make it happen. But we are being taught that we deserve more. Okay. And yet, when you look at third world countries, well, so-called third world countries, what you find is most of the time the people there are happier than the ones in so-called first world. The fact of the matter is, I came to the conclusion this year that there are three types of presents that are going out. Ones that I actually put the effort into building on. Okay. Ones that that I may have had. And I'll show you a couple that I'm actually getting rid of. Not because they don't mean anything to me, but because of the fact that they've had their time, and now for me, it's time to move forward. So let's put that down there for half a second. And I gotta do a little bit of work to figure this out. But I've actually got three of these. Don't know who they're going to. Don't even know if I know who it is they're going to. But these are the egg. Now, there's a lot to be said about the egg. Okay, and I've just got a stand that's going to go with it. Okay, and the reason for that is because there's a lot of incredible meaning to the shape of the egg. Right, and all I'm going to be doing is putting together some short poems, some short sayings, and what have you, to go with a lot of these gifts. Just something to get people to think. And maybe the only thing I'm going to be getting them to think about, is something silly. Like, for instance, I saw a poem one day. It was absolutely priceless. It went, roses are red, violets are blue. Some poems rhyme, but this one doesn't. Now that's not my writing. That was a poem somebody else wrote, and I don't even recall who wrote it. But it's a way of getting people to actually interact a little. Okay, I'll tell you, there's a lot of times I've talked to people. Well, I've talked to a lot of people that have literally looked at the situation they're in and gone, I don't know how to deal with it. And then they'll bang their head on the wall trying to figure it out for the longest time. Now, what's this? Emmy's going, I think a gift that is handmade is better. It means that you took time and effort to make it for someone and put your heart into it. Absolutely. Although I will tell you, I'm not pulling my heart out to put it into this. If you think about it, my heart has enough trouble running without my sticking it in a pot. But at this point, it really boils down to one very simple issue. Making absolutely certain that I am content with the outcome. I've tried the idea of asking people, what would you like? And I usually get, I don't know. So this year I decided I just wasn't going to bother. Because I figure I'll get what feels right from my standpoint, and then they can figure out whether it was good. But am I going to worry about whether they keep it? No. Where are we here? Going back up. Joe, around here, white and red helicopters are actually first aid. Usually they're the Red Cross. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, white and red, usually that's the Red Cross. Unless you're in Switzerland, at which point the Swiss will use it. And those likely are government as far as that goes. Did not want that. Okay, well, that answered that in a hurry. Put that on hold. I did not actually want that. I want paint on my hand. But hey, what the heck. But no, the only white and red ones I know of are literally Switzerland. Yeah, around here, red and white is the same as also the color of our ambulances. And that's all the way across the country from what I've seen. That would have been bad. I've got my paint water up here again. The nice part, what have we got here? Where are we? Yeah, from my standpoint, the thing is, for me, it really boils down to what the vehicle feels like as to whether there's something on. When I ran into my first Mobian Starship here about 15, 20 years back now, probably just over 20. When I first saw the Mobian Starship, That threw me for a loop, but it was really kind of comical. I wasn't expecting them in the area, in all fairness. But I'm looking at things now. This morning I was on the computer starting when did I start this morning? Yeah, this is a good idea. Here we are at 5 o'clock in the afternoon PST. I'm just looking over here to when I started my show, or when I got up this morning. I was up at 12:30 this morning. Yes, I did go back to bed and sleep for another couple hours. So I'm working right now on 2.5 hours of sleep. Yep. Where did my pen go? Of course it went missing. What else would happen with it? Good thing I keep a lot of pens around. But I sat down this morning and was doing an awful pile of writing, getting a hard copy moved over for the Return to Paradise. Because I got to get these things finished. That much is clear. So right now I'm working on 2.5 hours of sleep. The neat part about it, when we start looking at the way the world is, it's up to us to make it a better place. And let me ask you this. When you look at your life, are you content with the way it's running? Where are we looking here? I'm just going to hit refresh here and see what we got popping. And we are currently at 537, so we are slowly climbing, which is great. Now I just got to figure out how to get this other thing sorted around. But I will tell you this neat little phone of mine. Okay, yesterday something happened during an update. Now I'm using an i7, but something happened during the update that locked me out of the whole thing. So now what I'm looking at is where do we go from here? Okay, this is just part of the issue, but I strongly encourage you to take this as often as you can, put it on the counter, and instead of picking up an iPhone or an Android to start texting. Yeah, Philip, I didn't think it was either. Stupid part was I couldn't get it running, and my other half, who happens to be blinder than a bat, was able to talk me through getting it up and running in a matter of about 20 minutes. Like I said, she may not be perfect, but for me, she absolutely is, especially at this point. What we have to realize is this. The world is traveling in a very simple fashion right now, but is it going in the direction that's going to leave your kids or your grandkids feeling like their life is actually moving forward? Or are you creating a world, are you creating a world that people are going to have to struggle just to survive? Now, let me move a couple of things out. That's going to get in my way. Whoop. Like I said, I don't have the boxes for these yet. I don't think. But I get a kick out of it because the egg is pretty much, it's one of the best designs ever. Now, yes, this is a stone. If I recall correctly, this is that should be jasper. And I think it's leopard skin jasper, but I'm no gemologist. Okay. But that said, this is, to say the least, solid. So let's see what we got going here. I've got a couple of items that I'm putting in these boxes because I don't require them anymore. You know, so this is just a question of, okay, what have I got that I can work with? And right now, it really boils down to an issue of picking the right path. Okay. And I don't mean the right path from my standpoint. I mean the right path from yours. What do we got there? See, every now and again I get a small ornament that I don't know where it came from. But I do know somebody else, in this case, probably a young boy, will end up benefiting from it. Okay. It's a very nicely carved Protoceratops. Okay, a dinosaur. The predecessor to the Triceratops. I forget what the four-horned one was, but the Pentaceratops, and quite frankly, I do believe it's related to the Styracosaurus as well. Philip's going, Chief Seattle said something similar to what... Oh. I'm hoping that's good news. Here's the thing, Derek. I have no doubt that it will show that. Problem is that the people that believe, well, if saying, okay, back that off. The way it was put to me is, for those of you that believe, no proof is necessary. For those of you that don't believe, it is likely that no news is possible. Okay. Now, yeah, this little guy, like I collected dinosaurs when I was a kid. This one wasn't even mine, but I will end up sending it off to somebody somewhere. I just haven't figured out where. But I do know there's a lot of gifts that come up that way. Now, where is this particular one? Whole pile of information I've been working with. This is why I don't worry too terribly much about it. Okay. Like these are all, and this whole duotang is full of articles I've already written, short articles. Okay. And yes, I am going to be building on them. As a matter of fact, this is one of the things I've had to start really looking at. Ozzy, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Just getting started with your day, or you've been up for a while? And we have football cat is in the house. How you doing there, football? I'm looking at all these little projects I got on the go, and it's time to really start pushing things forward. Okay, it's absolutely imperative that we really focus on the positive things that are going on. This is why I'm going to end up drinking paint water soon. Now, I don't think... Did I already? I don't know. And since I can't tell, I'm just going to do this. Oh, it's already in there. Now, here's the thing. Okay, I've got this great big project on the go. And I'm looking at it one step at a time. But I know there's a whole pile of you. Yeah. The paint water right now, and whatever you do, boys and girls, do not try this at home. Okay? This right now has hot water with Dawn soap in it. Not a good thing to drink. Contrary to popular belief, colorful water does not always taste good. But let me ask you this. Are you content with where your life is going? Are you content with the way your life is evolving? If the answer is yes, this is fantastic. Though I suspect that the answer is no at this stage. From my standpoint, I'm just looking at this going, okay, how do I make this work? How do I get people really tuned in to a much more positive outlook on life? Okay, because if we don't do something about it, we are going to have some pretty serious problems. Now, I don't know if that makes sense at this point. What I do know is that the changes that we're making now are going to have a very long-lasting impact on the world at large. Okay, it's just one of those things that that would be wise to look at and go, okay, what are we doing with it? And why are we doing said thing? Now, this particular planter will be done pretty quick. Primarily because I don't need to worry about it anymore. But you'll notice I'm not exactly striving to turn it into some phenomenal work of art. Okay? Although, as my mom used to put it, the fact that you're getting anything together makes it a wonderful work of art. Now, we know Nathan has a staggering project he's working on. Okay, does anybody else out there care to share what they're working on? Okay, as far as I'm referring to most specifically with regards to not getting what you were aiming for. Like, for instance, go down to meet people down at the beach and you never see them, they're just gone, and you never get a chance to even say hello. Now, I'm laying odds this will actually set things on their back ear. Okay, as people try and figure out when is an acceptable time to leave. Well, in my experience, I've found a couple of things. One is you take a look at the way the world is and ask yourself, have you put an honest effort into understanding what you're hearing? Or is it just being, I don't agree with it, therefore I'm just going to ignore it? If it is the latter, okay, then the necessity is for you. The necessity is for you to put your foot down and go, this is where I'm heading with it. Now, what do we got here? See, I get a kick out of it. Oh, are we still? Well, obviously, we're still having major problems. I'll tell you, I had my entire cell phone network collapsed yesterday. So that created a problem to say the least. But what we can do is go, okay, how are we going to get this picture across? Now, I don't know. I run it open, so I end up doing something like this while I'm talking to you. Let me ask you this. Is anybody out there actually, and this is going to sound backwards, objectionable to my doing this sort of thing? Okay. I mean, I know I've got a very big mouth, and it can be extremely opinionated. Okay. But it boils down to how you see yourself. as to whether that's going to make as big an impact as what you think. No, in all fairness, it really doesn't, Philip. The reality of it is this. When you're looking at major corporations, they do not, on the whole, take care of the little guy. Not from what I've seen. Now, again, I have been looking into it, been doing all the research I can online, which is odd for me in the first place. But what I'm finding is that if you're going to take a dominant stand, you're going to cause some confusion around you. And it's up to you whether that confusion gets out of hand, because you are the one that understands what you're striving to build, and you are the one that's got the ability to make a change. Okay. Well, I appreciate that there, Shadow. I did drop in on your show last night. Very intriguing conversation. Sadly, I have so much on the go. And of course, for me, a lot of what you talk about, Shadow, you've got some phenomenal insight. You've got some phenomenal insight. And what I have come to understand is that a lot of the times, Shadow, the salty language, don't even consider that an issue. I don't speak it that often, but I don't take offense to it at all. And I sure don't feel people need to really, really watch their language on it. Joe, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Yes, there was a lot of cross current, but there always is when you get a panel in. But the fact of the matter is there, Shadow, everyone in that room seemed to be getting along. And ultimately, that's the real kicker to it. The fact of the matter is, it's this sort of thing. I mean, people don't get together in one room very much anymore. The new getting together seems to be on the internet, and thus far, no, I have not gotten to the point of drawing somebody in. I've still got to look at that side of it. Now, here's the thing. As you can tell, this is not perfect. By the way, it's not going to be. But let's take a look at something here. If we take this, I've got to... I know what I need open. I have to open up... Well, we'll take that one and see if we can find what I'm looking for here. We go. Open. Okay, open, browse. And then we go all the way up here and open up September. What I'm doing is calling out the next newsletter to make sure I get it all sorted around. Now, what is today? The 13th? Holy mackerel, that long. Did not realize how fast this month went. What do we got? Oh, okay, that's way back there. Okay. Now, what do we got here? The reality is we have a massive communication problem in this world right now. Yeah, Mickey, that's just it, Derek. There are some movies that are phenomenal. And it's one of those neat little things that I'm looking at. Like, Mickey's just going, or Mickey, no. Derek is just going, where was it? Oh, yeah, I'll get back to that. Joe, I'm just looking at this. I knew about guys that fought the Napoleonic Wars. Joe used to do figures as well. You know, when I take a look at that, there was a game years back. There was a game out called Diplomacy. They downgraded it to Risk, and the difference is this: with Risk, if you don't know what it is, it's world conquest, but everybody takes their turn in their moving turn. With Diplomacy, it was the same game, but you wrote down what your move was, and not until everybody was set did anybody move. Okay, made it much, much, much more challenging. Yeah, Derek was just saying Mickey Rourke in a Mickey Rourke movie, you just can't go wrong with. Well, Mickey Rourke was one of these actors that didn't matter what role you put him in, he did a bang up job. Here's the thing. That I know of, Philip, Maydays went through a few months back. Used to be in Kelowna, they've now moved to the west side, and that's a political nightmare. I mean, that's just it, Shadow. I'm looking at this. Do I know of any major festivities going on at this point? No. But I will tell you this, Derek. Because of the fact that I'm rather reclusive, it's not like I go out of my way to go out and see what events are going on. Yeah, football, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I've watched the entire Expendables franchise. Speaking of which, not the Expendables one, but they reinitiated the Matrix movies, and I will tell you that proved to be extremely well written. So, and yes, I have decided that as my company grows, not only am I going to go into the publishing side, I will go into the producing side. You notice the vision just keeps getting bigger. Not bad for somebody that's got no luck with technology. Well, where are we here? Yeah, with the Matrix, they've got Matrix Resurrections. And I'm not going to tell you about how it goes, but I will tell you the key players are brought back in, which is kind of necessary just 20 years later. Oh, I am going to have to take a look. World, I did not see you come in. Or maybe I did. But let us take a look. No, not at that. There. This is the link to World's broadcast. Oh, and look at that. I'm glad I looked at this. This is the link to World's live stream. And as you can see, he goes on, holy mackerel, that quick. He goes on in just about half an hour, 20 minutes now. But absolutely drop in, give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, give him a thumbs up and do subscribe to the channel. Bigfoot. Shadow. Let's solve that problem. Where are we here? Trying to figure out what the heck I'm doing. Hey. Click that in there. Yes, it is. Now, Shadow, if you would be kind enough, you can put that link up to that video of yours and give people a way to get to it, because you've just been asked where this newest film is. So if you've got one that you can pop up there, that'd be just great. Oh, Philip's just saying, today I saw that there's a comic out with alien predator Judge Dredd, animal scientist who turns himself into a xenomorph queen. You know, nothing like complications. And the funny thing is, they do not all get along, by the way. Now let us see here. We take that and pop that to live. Take that and we pop that to live and see what goes. I keep looking at the way our world is and go, okay, how can I find a way, what can I do to inspire people to really change the way the world's working? Now, yes, I am putting out a newsletter. And because of that, I'm keeping it just 100% free. I just can't see the point in doing otherwise. But when I take a look at this duotang, I've got a whole bunch of articles that I will move in to finish off they're already written. It makes it easier for me. Absolutely, Derek. I do appreciate that. You have yourself a good night. I will tell you, yesterday I had a problem. This whole thing collapsed on me. To the point that I couldn't receive phone calls, send messages, go on FaceTime, nothing. Now, one of the things I do have to ask, what do we got? Oh, Joe goes, the wrestler Mickey Rourke. I wouldn't watch that one with your kids, but it was a good movie in some aspects. Yeah. That looks like it could be an entertaining one there, Philip. What that particular movie you're referring to, what platform is it playing on? Thank you so much, Derek. I will be going back into the comments today when I get done this stream. Curiosity, where are we? Oh, okay. When I get done this stream, I'm going to go back into the comments, make sure I get to them, make sure I get to the emails and what have you, because there's a number of things that have to happen. But I've got, where did I just put it? Right there. I think that's good to go. Nope, I've got to figure out, because I got to do something. I am not an artist, in case you couldn't tell. But I do want to put something in here to, change it a little. Just to make it stand out a little different than what it is. Don't know what yet. That would be the biggest issue. But, Mike, how you doing? Glad you could join us. I don't think I have seen you in here before. If I have, my apologies for not remembering. But here's the neat thing about it. Okay, just in case you're not aware, if you've got any questions from any field, absolutely put them in the chat room. I will do my best to get to them. The reality of it is that in this room, number one, especially on tonight, we don't have a topic that we're sticking to. I just find it very difficult sometimes to stay focused on one topic. So, what do I got here? This neat little thing gets out of the way. That can go there. Hey, Jenny, how you doing? Glad you could join us. And we have YouTube University. Yeah, YouTube's going, I finally got out of the Matrix 5 years ago. You know, nice thing about the world of the imagination. You can take any character from any story and bring them across. That doesn't surprise me at all there, YouTube. You know, I spent years, in all fairness, it wasn't very long, age about 1 to 1.5 to age 5, when I was involved with the MyLabs. Not as a willing participant, in all fairness. But when you're looking at trying utilizing astral projection to watch what people are up to, the only question I always ask, or almost always ask, is do you know what kind of fringe work you've been looking into that would catch their attention? Because that's how they do it. They look at the fringe element. In my case, they've been watching me all my life. The MyLabs were, well, let me put it this way. In a very short nutshell, I watched 197 of my friends get murdered right in front of my eyes, with the sole reason that the powers that be wanted to make my abilities run a little higher. You know, but they are by no means something that you recommend to anybody. You know, and again, I don't hold it against the people working there, because they were taught by other people who previously were taught by people before them, which means this is an ongoing systemic problem, but it is one we've got control over. We just don't know it yet. And that's where this stream comes in, is to point out and to turn on the lights and say, hey, this is what you're up against. Are you content with the way your life is? If the answer is yes, then more power to you. No, the reality of it is, Philip, the trauma actually strengthens your higher senses. At least that's what it seems to do. The reason for it is your higher senses kick in to protect you, or to protect your mind. Okay, and when you bear witness to too much in the way of trauma, you're going to have some complications. Now, I gotta go get that other one because I need a little more blue. As you can tell, sitting down is not always my strong suit. So, take a little bit of this, and yes, I've already got one paintbrush up there, but I sort of had to. But, the unfortunate part is, if you look back at the original medical, the people that were doing the studying did some pretty horrendous things back then. Okay, same thing with the MyLabs. Now, do not get me wrong. By no means am I supporting what they did, or for that matter, what they continue to do. Okay, but I will tell you that when you're looking at this world, the more you realize that people are nice people. Okay, and I mean across the board. We are not talking about a world that is full of idiots, although I sometimes question that myself. The reality of it is that when we take a look at the world the way it is, okay, we have to remember that people are taught by other people. And it's getting worse, in my opinion. Okay. Now you'll notice with this one, I'm just touching things up. So I can make absolutely certain it's as good as I can functionally make it. And then I'll be able to put this one aside. I just have to take a look and see what I've got in the way of paint, or not paint, but wrapping paper and what have you. Because I got a few things that have to go out tomorrow. What the heck was that? Did not like that much. I've got a couple of boxes that have to go out in pretty short order. So today is Sunday, so I'll be sending them out on Monday. Maybe Tuesday at the latest. Okay, and the reason for that is because I still have a fair amount of work I've got to get done. And I'm running out of time. Professional procrastination, by the way, will not do you a lot of good. In case you hadn't actually noticed. So now what I've got here is I'm tying off loose ends. And this, I haven't quite decided whether I'm going to do more with this particular planter, or whether I'm just going to leave it as is, as a simple little maneuver. Ultimately, I know I'm the one that's going to have to make the decision. Doesn't mean I can't put it out there. Oh, Swirl goes, NOFX has a song called Professional Procrastination. Here's the thing, Philip's bringing up an interesting point here. Okay, and what he said is people learn from people. Absolutely, I don't think it will work to replace human teachers with computers and AI teachers. It's not working now. A computer cannot replace a human. And what they're calling AI, phenomenal programming, but it does not have the emotional influence. And that's where the problem comes in. Because people have to have those feelings. And there's a lot of people I've literally had to give permission to actually cry, to actually feel something. That's where you run into a lot of hiccups. I never, as we discussed the other day, I never took to punk rock. But that does not mean it's bad. Yeah, YouTube goes, I was in the military and I know valuable information. Now, the question you have to ask, no, you don't have to, but the question I always ask is, you've got valuable information. Are you passing on the information, or are you hoping other people are just going to wake up and figure it out? From my standpoint, I made a massive mistake way back when I was in elementary school. And I started pushing people away from me. Started pulling back and going, I don't want anything to do with them. My rationale at the time was, if I stay quiet and leave everybody alone, maybe, just maybe, they'll wake up and make some intelligent choices. Sad to say, that is not what I see happen. Net result, I'm stepping out of the shadows to say, hey guys, we got to do something. Now, would it make any sense for me to, stand up and pound on my desk and scream at you that the world is going to die and that we're all sinners, born of sin. I'm telling you, if that is the case, then you gotta wonder if we're all born of sin. If we're told we're all born of sin, does this not mean that there's no hope? Okay, you got no place to go with it. I look at it going, there's a big problem on that end. What is this? Oh, yes. That I was looking at yesterday. Here's another thing. See this funny little book here? This one here. No, I didn't write it. But this particular book is a better thesaurus than anything on the internet that I've ever come across. Terry, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Now what I'm looking at is going, okay, where do I go from here? Well, I know one place I gotta go from here. Put you over there. And wasn't in there. I gotta step outside because something's bugging me. So I'm not going very far here. Okay, so much for that. Was looking for something that I'm actually trying to pull together. And it's just one of those days. This little monster can go elsewhere. Like I said, I've got a bunch of little figures that are going to find new homes. It's just a question of figuring out which ones. That wasn't actually what I got up to do. What I got up to do didn't pan out. But what do we got going on here? Yeah, it very much is. World. Like I've tried the internet, and hands down, this gives a much better rendition. This said, this might give you an idea why I'm still a firm believer that physical books are a good move. What do we got here? Jonathan Edwards already tried that in his famous fire and brimstone sermon from back in colonial time. Yeah, didn't work, but you can really hear his frustration in the sermon. Here's the thing. Okay, I could take to yelling at people. I don't have the desire to. Cowie, how you doing? Glad you could join us. I didn't see you come in. It's the real kicker there. But I'm looking at it going, okay, I've got to take a look at this. I swore I was not going to go head to head with religion. I'm not. I looked into the idea of building a church, but the fact of the matter is that the modern super churches have locked everything up so badly. Unless you are promoting their belief, you're not getting the authorization to do it. World, thank you so much for dropping by. I do really appreciate it. I'm actually surprised you're still here. But do have a great show. And again, guys, where is it? Let's grab this. And world. We copy that. We drop this little link in. This is the link to World's show, to World's live stream. So that I can actually get it to find itself. We paste that there. So that said, make sure you drop in, give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, do give him a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and share the daylights out of the thing. Okay.